something that I've been wanting to talk about for a long time, and this is going to be the most unbiased chat about religion and God in general that you'll ever hear. One, because, well, I'm from a religious background, and two, because I don't know where I stand right now, and three, because, I talk to people who are extremely not religious on a daily basis. So this is going to be a very biased chat. And I know a lot of people are very fanatical about, for example, religion and God, which is not a bad thing, but there's also extreme atheism on the other side of the spectrum. And to be honest, that is also unhealthy. Welcome to the live. Hello, Kalidas. Hello. Hi. Hi. First. So yeah, I just wanted to do this chat because I've been getting some comments on my YouTube. A lot of negativity towards Christianity, and believe it or not, a lot of disillusionment from the Christian community as well. So it's both sides of the spectrum. Both people are undoubtedly saying a biased opinion. So I wanted to just form an opinion and tell you guys about my true thoughts about this whole thing. Because look, I used to be extremely religious, believe it or not. I used to be extremely religious, and part of it was because of my personality, if I'm being honest. A lot of people who are kind of like me are more prone to becoming religious, but that's not a bad thing. Welcome, Gus, the invitation. Yeah, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about this subject, partially because a lot of people have hardened their hearts towards religion, Christianity, and the people who are religious and Christian don't think for themselves. So I want you guys to start thinking for yourself. No matter who you are, an atheist, agnostic, religious person, just think for yourself. And also, you want to look at the people who are actually, for example, Christian or devout Muslims. You want to look into them as a personality type and realize, sit you on mute, what do you mean by that? Can you guys hear me? That's number one. Hope you can hear me. And I just wanted to talk about this subject because, yeah, I get a lot of comments on a daily basis on my YouTube, and I see a lot of things being said, people taking things out of context. One of the biggest reasons why people aren't religious, and I'm going to say this from a person who has come from a religious family, one of the main reasons is because people they're not flexible in their thinking. They're not dynamic in their thinking. One being, you can't see everything as black and white. That is a big no, a big mistake. And believe it or not, those other religious people see some things as black and white. So that's the problem. That's why there's so many arguments when it comes to God, when it comes to Christianity, when it comes to ethics, when it comes to faith, when it comes to difficult situations, difficult problems in the world. What I want you to get out of this live is just be dynamic in your thinking. Be dynamic in how you think about things, how you reason, how you critically think. Because if you're not dynamic and you don't realize that actually some situations are completely different to others, you cannot put things in the same bucket. I speak to a lot of Muslims on a daily basis because I go to this gym and sauna, and there's a massive Muslim community. And I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of them are genuinely brainwashed. And it's not a bad thing to be brainwashed. It just means you've not thought for yourself, and you've been brought up in a community or in a situation where there was no need for you to think in another way. I'm not saying that you should completely disregard a religion or disregard your faith or what you've been brought up with. I'm just saying, look, guys, if you're religious, you obviously want to get more people on board to your religion, to your faith. If you want to do that, you need to be more open-minded. This is the paradox of being religious. So you're trying to get more people into your faith, but you're not open-minded. You're not you're not speaking about things and topics that might be challenging to talk about. Because you know why? Because you can't discuss those reasoning like that. So that's why I wanted to come on and talk to you about this today. How are you all guys doing? So yeah, that's about it. Let me just come back in a second. Just need to... So, Hebrew, we got somebody who's got a name from Hebrew language. That's awesome. So yeah, guys, I just wanted to say, you got to be dynamic in your thinking when it comes to, and yes, I do remember you. I do. Yeah. So how's everybody's week been? I know this is a bit of a controversial topic. Not many people on YouTube would talk about this because I think it's important. Personally, I think it's important. I am Faraj. Welcome, Faraj. I do remember Faraj. So the key takeaway from this live, I just want to say, both whether you're religious or whether you're not, both sides of the spectrum are doing things that are wrong. And if people could just be more open-minded, and not just the people who are religious, the people who are completely against it are extremely open-minded, closed-minded, and partly, obviously, that's to do with an experience, to do your experience, your own personal experience with religion, which is not a bad thing, but also putting different situations in the same bucket. You can't do that. You cannot do that. Like I was just debating with a guy on YouTube about somebody used the fact that children's hospitals exist as a reason to say God does not exist. It's like, you need to first understand that the whole meaning of the word freedom and free will until you can make those assumptions or conclusions. So yeah, there's that. But also, I see why people do not agree with certain things said in religion, certain things, that people believe in. But also, at the end of the day, it's a personal thing. It's a personal matter. So I see a lot of people debating against Christianity or against Islam or against religion in general, but the pointing the finger at the wrong things, and it does start to get personal. So that's why a lot of people don't want to talk about stuff like that, and they sway away from it, which is not a bad thing. But I just wanted to be open and honest and say, look, this is my unbiased view and opinion that just both sides of the equation need to change. Both sides of the spectrum are wrong, and yeah. I saw another comment the other day on one of my posts. I can't remember which post it was, but somebody basically said, on the lines of, if we truly understood each other, we would have less conflicts. Like, the world would be a better place, and that's so true. And the only way you can understand each other is if you have meaningful and deep conversations and meaningful and deep relationships with one another. Because when you do start to have meaningful and deep relationships with one another, you start to realize things that other people don't realize, and then you start to realize subtleties, because those deep, meaningful relationships are the main essence of a human being, and relationships is so important. And if you don't work on those deep, meaningful relationships, it's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be difficult to understand. It's gonna be difficult to have empathy, things like that. So things that are really important to a human being. What is really important to a human being? Like, that's a good question. What is important to a human being right now in 2023? What is important for a human being? I think one of the most important things is empathy, because if you start to assume things and you start to take things out of context and then just start saying, you're not right, this is how I have it. Yeah, but you've never lived his life. So maybe if you ask the right questions, you'll have more empathy. So empathy is probably one of the most underrated things that you could have as a human being. And yeah, it's so important at the end of the day. Empathy, feeling part of a community, feeling like, you are part of something that you loved, that people care about you, that kind of thing. But also being honest, upfront and honest. Because if somebody is genuinely deluded, for example, I'm not saying religious people are deluded, but for example, if somebody, what they speak out of their heart or what they say, based on their own experience, and you realize, hang on, this guy is saying things a little bit out of context or out of reason or something like that, you got to be honest with him. There's been times in my life as a Christian, when I was a Christian, like proper Christian, I used to say things to Christians that they didn't want to hear, because I'm like, look, something's not right here. Something is just not right. And if you truly believe in something and it's truth, you need to talk about it. You need to say, this is how it is. So yeah, I think, guys, both people are wrong. Christians and non-Christians, Muslims and non-Muslims. There's just no one that is right. There's only a certain portion of people that are genuinely closer to the truth, and they're the people that can see both sides and are more empathetic and genuinely showing love. So yeah, guys, that's my take on this sort of conversation that has been had on some comments of mine. So just thought I'd address it. If anybody's interested, if anybody wants to see it, then here it is on this live. If you got some value, please click the like button. It helps a lot, and subscribe if you are or not. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. Thanks for listening, guys. See you on the next one. Bye.